You went to Tokyo recently, right?
I did, yeah.
Give me the rundown on like how Tokyo was, because like I talked to you for like 30
Yeah,
seconds about it, and you went to like some sick, like record vintage comic shop or
yeah. We
something.
went to a bunch of stuff. So yeah, my wife and I, shout out my wife. My wife. I love you
My
so much.
vibe.
Um, she's probably gonna listen to this and be like, "You're a fucking idiot." The trip was great, man. The country's like super beautiful. I told you, super clean. Like ran in a way that just like with your American brain doesn't make sense. Where you're like not able to comprehend like how efficient they are with everything.
Yeah.
Um, the city of Tokyo itself is amazing. The train system runs like in a way that's not imaginable. Like if you've been like in Chicago taking the L, or like if you've taken the subway in New York, you're like, kind of sucks. It's a little bit grimy and gross. It's
Yeah.
never on time. There's always something fucking happening. But it's awesome, man. Yeah, we went to a bunch of different shops. We went to Nerds Records, which is like a hardcore record shop. That's all they sell in the place. I got Alex and Marauder CD.
There you go.
Um,
That's cool.
but yeah, I mean, it was amazing, dude. Like the food, the people, everybody keeps to themselves in a way where like they're distant, but it's like more like out of like it's an act of kindness, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Um, but yeah, man, I fucking loved it.
Yeah, they're not like being rude or stuffy. It's just that they don't want to annoy or impose
Yeah,
on, like, I don't know, your day or your space
right.
or
They just kind
whatever.
of keep to themselves. Like they're polite in a way where they're just distancing themselves from you, and like they're
Yeah.
very like in tune to like not disrupt people. Like on the train, dudes. Like
Yeah.
there were sometimes we'd take the train and you'd be on a train filled with people, and it would be completely silent.
Yeah.
Like all you
Yeah.
could hear is the whirring of the train. It was
Yep.
like, holy shit. And then there's other times like you'd be on it a little bit later, like maybe people went out and had like drinks or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit more talkative, but still not like there was no like moment where there was like some dude on the train like, "Hey, damn, I fucking did this." You know what I mean? Nobody's talking on their phone. Like, it was just like,
Yeah.
it was awesome, dude. Like the country rocks.
Yeah. I didn't smell any pee when I like walked down the stairs or
Yeah.
like transitioned from one train to
It's
the other.
crazy how fucking clean the entire city is, dude. And like,
Yeah,
I'm going to fuck up the total amount of people that live there, but it's like 14 something million people, maybe even more that live there.
Mhm.
And you're walking around the city and there's like not one piece of garbage on the ground. And there's no garbage cans there because like
Yeah.
there was like some crazy like sarin gas cult terrorist attack in the 90s there, and they pulled every garbage can like out of
Is
this.
that why they did that?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
So like they used like these garbage cans in the city to like plant these devices that like release this toxic gas.
Whoa.
And like when that happened, the government was like, no more garbage cans. Like we'll figure it out. And like there's like you'd literally buy a drink or something to eat from the store, and you'd have to carry it around the whole day until you got back to your hotel to throw it away. 'Cause
Yep.
there's nowhere to throw it away.
I
It's
haven't-
fucking nuts.
I haven't thought about sarin gas since like when I used to listen to Ramallo.
Yeah, shout out Om Shinrikyo, the Doomsday cult that planted those sarin gas bombs. I think the guy's on death row right now, so or maybe he is dead.
What was the nerd shop like? Because you said you got him like a cool CD, but you were saying there's like all these like vintage like MMA,
Oh yeah,
like Pride.
yeah. So we went to, and this is fucking. It was like this store was made for me, dude, and like it was a place I had to go. I'm totally gonna fucking biff the name of it right now. So just Google like wrestling MMA shop Tokyo, and it'll come up. But it's a
Oh, that wasn't
two-story.
a nerd one. This is a different.
That's not Nerds. No, Nerds Records.
gotcha.
Yeah, this is a store that's solely dedicated to any like combat sports
Yeah.
history, right?
got it.
And they have a ton of pro wrestling stuff there. Obviously, pro wrestling is huge in Japan.
Yeah.
And then they have catalogs upon catalogs of anything combat sport related. So like they had an entire section. It was like you're in a library, dude. It was nuts. And like everything is from like the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and it's all cataloged in that way, like very, very efficient.
Yeah.
And they had everything. So like if you wanted to go, like you would just literally, I'd pull up something on my phone and Google Translate. And I'd be like, "Where's the section on jiu-jitsu?" And the guy would bring me over there. And there'd be like a book that like one of the Gracies wrote in the 90s that like, you know what I mean? Like for whatever reason, somebody from
Yeah.
Japan got a copy of it
Ordered
and it
it.
made its way there, right?
Yeah.
And then they had like all these VHS tapes of like, you know, like what would be the BJJ Fanatics equivalent now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like back in the day, you bought people's tapes, and they had all that stuff too with like cool old retro logos, like Hickson on the cover, like looking all jacked. And it's like his rear naked choke instructional or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they had like all these programs. So they had an entire section that was all MMA programs. So like anytime there would be an MMA event in Japan, like just because they're so cool and like they want you to get the most of everything, you'd get a free program with the show.
Yeah.
And so they had all these Pride programs and Ryzen programs and UFC programs. I bought a Pride program. I probably should have bought it for the pod. Couldn't.
Yeah.
I'll bring it so everybody can take a look at it.
Sure.
But it's awesome, dude. It's got like an ad with Mark Coleman in it where he's like dressed in a banana costume for like Japan, like Dole bananas. Like literally he's like holding like 2 bananas up like this and looking insane, wearing like a king's costume.
Dude, I feel like a lot of the like promotional, I mean, for everything in general, but especially for like fighting back in like the 80s, 90s, early 2000s was so ridiculous / like would be really offensive today.
Yeah.
A lot of like just the personalities and the things that they would do to like kind of get people's attention.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It was huge there for a while. So like you had Pride and obviously that was a Japanese fight promotion. So the Japanese, like from what I've read and like people have told me just in passing is like anything that's inherently Japanese, they're super proud of it. And like, no pun intended because it's called Pride, but like they take huge pride in it. It's like the entire country's about it. And then like Pride kind of died. So there's really not much of an MMA scene there. It still exists, but it's just not as big as it was like at one time.
Did Pride die because of the UFC or it already died on its own volition, like from just like mismanagement? Because I kind of
like the mismanagement. They like ran out of cash because they were trying to clear ties with the Yakuza because that's who funded a lot of the Pride.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, they bankrolled all of Pride, and then I forget what the owner's name is, but he wanted to like separate from the Yakuzas, and that's when the UFC bought all the contracts, but the contracts weren't real contracts, so they only had like that's why they brought over Mark Hunt. Guys like that, because that was the only contracts they really had.
Yeah.
And then Pride turned into Ryzen.
Pride turned into Ryzen?
Yeah, Ryzen. It's the same thing.
I see.
But now without the Yakuza ties.
Oh. I can imagine UFC going to the Yakuza and being like, hey, these aren't legit contracts. We need to figure this out. They're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
Dude just cut his finger off before I take it away.
I think this is figured out.
Move along, dude.
You graduated recently, right?
Yes. Finished UIC with a bachelor's in business administration.
Awesome. That's sweet, man.
Congrats, dude.
I know you were hustling for a while there between work and school and then like Seraphin, BP. Like that's a rough
busy.
schedule.
I made the unfortunate decision to go back to school at 28 and finish at 34.
I had a feeling that was going to happen for some reason. I think he's just too smart of a person to just like stop there. Like,
I think that's you're giving me too much credit. I just needed to do something else.
You are smart. Like talking to Alex, he'll be like, yeah, dude. So like, I was a fucking like cook and then I just got into finance and that's how I worked. Dude, like you're cooking spaghetti one day and then you're just working like in this crazy finance job for a fucking crypto company. Like, yeah, just got into it, whatever.
Yeah, no, he's like a Excel wizard. You just tell me like he doesn't even need the mouse and stuff anymore.
You're just coding it. You're just like,
he just knows like hotkeys and like to be able to like switch all that stuff around.
That's too much, right?
I'm like a caveman.
Do I start sweating bullets when I pull that thing out?
Oh my God, it's horrible.
The equations and all that shit. And
dude.
You start typing in one box before you know it, you're in another box.
Yeah. I turned into a boomer, dude. Like it's like I got the font on my phone is like gigantic. You can just like read the person's messages and shit when I'm on there.
I'm actually really hyped. I got a new phone because my old one, I had all the, like the fonts all blown up, so I couldn't see it anymore. And then when I got the new one, I just decided to recommit to the smaller font. So,
nobody else is looking at your phone.
Yeah, but I think Katie has seen it, and then she'll say shit to me about it.
Oh.
Like all my clients saw it, and I was like, man, I can't even like help myself out here. Just extreme judgment from.
I can't help but look, dude. If I'm like out in public and I see somebody like big ass font on top, I always glance at it.
Yeah, it's almost if like someone has a pen in their phone. You know what I mean? Yeah, boomer. You know?
Whoa, dude, fucking shots fired.
Yeah.
I got a fucking stylus in my phone, and I think it's badass. Dude.
Yeah, no, actually, it is pretty. I was kind of jealous,
Yeah,
but
if it was like 2010 again, for sure.
Whoa, dude. Fucking running it back, dude. I was at the phone store yesterday. You can get a fucking flip phone now, dude. The collapses
That
like
is
a
true,
goddamn
yeah.
razor.
I know. It's what they use on Love Island.
Yeah, dude. Oh, they
They-
use that on the line.
They give them all to Love Island. Yeah. It's like the flip Samsung
Hell
one, so
yeah,
they all
dude.
like got those things out.
That's good cross promotion.
Yeah.
we all have trained at other academies, you know, before we've just ended up training here together. And it's kind of funny because none of us, if you think about it, really planned on training together. Like when this whole thing started, it wasn't like, hey, let's all get together and create this group. And,
Fucking A.
you know, and like, of course, like any academy that starts, you're going to gain people as time goes on, right? Just the doors are open, people hear about it and they're going to come through. But the people that we've acquired, I feel like is a little bit different than just like your average academy in like a really good way, personality wise. And then also just like how much we care about this and how much we want to truly make each other better instead of just win. Like, of course, you know, Alex wants to beat Pat or vice versa, but it's not
Always, dude.
It's
He's
not-
always trying, dude.
it's not
Whatever
just
he can.
about winning, you know, and I feel like we do a really good job of trying to actually help each other grow. So I want to talk really quick about sort of like our transitions, or maybe not even a full transition, just like what we've noticed training here from training other places we trained at. You know, and so like you trained at Rio for a long time,
Yeah.
you know, and I trained at Carlson Gracie out in the suburbs. And, you know, Pat, you were at, what was the academy out in New York and upstate New York?
Yeah, Tai Chi, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, New York, Syracuse, New York. Love
Yep.
that place.
Yep.
Kenny Cronenberg was a head black belt there. I can't say enough good things
You
about
told me
Ken.
some wild shit
He's-
about that dude.
Ken's amazing. He's been doing it since like the 90s. He competed at ADCC like 2002-ish, somewhere around there.
It's a
like,
wild time to be competing at ADCC.
Yeah.
Yeah. He competed against like Jeremy Horn, the UFC
Oh,
fighter, in like a grappling
yeah.
match. Ken's an OG, straight up.
Yeah. And then, Alex, you were at 10th Planet for a long time.
Yeah.
You're currently still at Seraphin, still here. And so, you know, Pat, we can just start we talking about Ken, but
Sure.
like, you know, when you started training here, you know, you had trained a little bit in Chicago when you had moved here, and then taking a little time off just because, you know, moving here is rough. It's expensive.
Yeah.
It's a tough transition from one state to the next. And then when BP got going, you know, it was just like a natural progression, because I remember I was talking to you about it and you're like, yeah, like, I don't know, maybe, yeah, I think I'll do it, you know. And then when it opens full bore, and then your martial arts, I guess, career just totally fucking just went off on a trajectory that
Yeah.
you weren't on like 4 years ago or whatever. It's
Yeah, yeah,
incredible. So like, what was your transition like going from training out there with Ken to here, and then getting into judo, you know, at Tokon and all that?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I graduated in 2016, from school, I came right to Chicago, to start working and stuff like that. And so, I was like getting my personal training certification at the time. And then, as soon as I moved to the city, my parents cut me a check for like however much it was going to be to train like wherever I wanted to go for like the first like 3 months, basically.
Yeah.
You're a purple belt, right?
Yeah. I just got my purple belt at the time too. A couple months before I'd left Syracuse, and so I came here and I was shopping around like a little bit, and so I knew Rio,
Yeah.
and it was super close to me. All I had to do was I would hop on the Brown line, and then I could take the bus right over to it. It's super close for me. So I was doing that for a little bit, and I just like handed them a check, and I was like, "Will this cover 3 months?" And they're like, "That looks good to me." And at the time, it was
Was that Rio?
Yeah, that was at Rio. And
Kinda
it's
checks
Crazy, 'cause
out,
I
right?
was
Like-
probably training there at the exact same
Yeah,
time.
you
but I
definitely
don't
were.
remember ever
Yeah.
running into Pat.
I wasn't there for super, super long. It was only like, I don't know, it was a handful of months.
Yeah.
Because like the 3 months went by, and then I was trying to pay myself for a little bit too.
That was the new Big Rio, right?
Yeah, there was
Little
Big Rio on Irving Park, and it was Remy and Nikki that were running it.
Yeah.
And because Pete at the time was like getting his like back surgeries and stuff from getting hit by a drunk driver, and so I think I only saw Pete there maybe like 2 or 3 times
Mhm.
the whole time I was there, because he was always traveling.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like, I mean, no disrespect to Remy, no disrespect to Nikki. Those guys are amazing. The Rio guys are amazing. but it's just like, it wasn't quite the training that I was used to back home.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I wasn't going to the right classes and stuff, because like obviously Danny is there and everything, and like they would have been able to whoop up on me 100%. But then, I mean, it just came to like finances,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't afford to train anymore. So I stopped doing that. I started working at Equinox, and was like trying to build up my clientele and everything,
Yeah.
which is hard in the beginning. And like with the eventual goal of always getting back to jiu-jitsu in some capacity.
Yeah, you got to go all into that. I mean, you know how it is. I mean, there's so many people who are like, yeah, man, want to get into personal training, you know, and then it's like 3 months, 9 months. They're just
And you're not making
somewhere
any
else.
money.
They're not doing that. And that's, you know, it's a bum out. I'm not making fun of them, but it's just like, unless you put everything into it and you just fully commit and say, hey, I'm going to have no life for X amount of time until this thing's up and rolling. Like, it's not going to happen, man.
Yeah, no, they would tell us straight up at Equinox, they're like, hey, if you're not here basically like 12, 15 hours a day, like you're probably not going to do very well. So I was like, all right, that's all I'm doing.
That's why be here 6 to 10 a day for a year is not a hard request.
It's really not, no. And like all in the meanwhile, so I mean, it was just like I had to stop for a little bit, and I was missing the like skill acquisition and everything. So that's why I kind of like put it all in more towards just like strength training. That's how I got into like Olympic weightlifting and like powerlifting and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then eventually when I started making real money, I could start doing jiu-jitsu again. And I knew there was a Redsvik school, the HQ up by me.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were there for a little bit.
Yeah, so I was going to Redsvik HQ. I was there for I don't know, maybe like 8 or 9 months or so, and I was trying to go super consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great. The Redsvik guys are really cool. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so obviously couldn't train like during that and everything. And when gyms like kind of started opening back up, and I would like went and go talk to them because they like froze our memberships and everything. They were like, hey, you can start coming back into the classes and stuff.
Yeah.
But it felt like disingenuous going there and training with guys and then seeing clients and like having to like wear a mask or whatever. And it was just like, I would feel horrible if I got somebody sick and then they give it to somebody else, so on and so forth. And like something really bad happened. So I was like, you know what? I felt wrong morally.
Yeah.
So I just like took a back seat on that for a little bit until Balance Point opened.
Yeah.
And so that's when I knew that it was like all systems go on Balance Point, because it was just I could roll right in here after my sessions.
Yep.
The class times worked and everything, and so I just I went full force on that.
Yeah. Yeah, and like once you got rolling in here, obviously, there was like, I don't know how long it was, and I'm sure we all noticed it, but there was probably like a, I don't know, 3 month or maybe 6 to 9 month period where you can tell everything's brand new and we really don't know each other, and like, and the students aren't used to training here, and also the instructors aren't used to teaching here either. So like there's this weird feeling where it's just not quite home yet. And then there was like a switch that happened eventually. And I can't tell you what happened exactly, but it just at some point kind of made sense.
Yeah.
And it just felt right. What was it like initially for you training here and like getting the rust off and like getting used to, and then also you kind of created your own niche here with like the open mat thing.
Yeah.
And so like, what was that like? I don't know, I guess from the beginning to now, like getting used to training here and then like getting mixed up with Alex, and like he brought an entirely different element to jiu-jitsu for all of us in the academy. And then obviously people like Marsh and all the other like weirdos in here,
Weirdos.
But yeah, like what was that like, and like what kind of things did you notice about yourself, your own jiu-jitsu, or your thinking, or like just like, I don't know, like your whole approach to jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, so I mean, you said it already, but it was just like knocking off the rust. When you got promoted, that was like the first time I'd put on a gi in a couple years.
Yeah, which that meant the fucking world to me.
Oh yeah,
of course. For that, because it's
When you got your purple belt?
Yeah. And like Pat came out, put his gi on, and just literally threw himself into a belt test.
Yeah.
Like mostly to just beat the shit out of us, but like it's
just another
really cool gesture. Yeah. And it shows that it's like, hey man, I'll do whatever, whatever you need. You ask me to be there, I'll be there. And Yeah, you showed up for that. And I just had a feeling that when he showed up to that belt test, that was like going to be the beginning
Yeah,
of
for sure.
another chapter.
Yeah, and like, obviously we're already building out balance point and
Mhm.
everything. So it's just
Yeah.
like natural progression into that
Yeah.
point. And it's also like my way of showing you like how, committed I am to being like your friend and everything.
Yeah,
and
man.
then also like commitment to like getting back to jiu-jitsu as well.
Yeah.
Of just like, I was so excited.
It felt
in
like
the
kind of a
car.
2-part thing to
Yeah.
me, and I don't know, I sort of assumed that for you, but I'm glad I was like not that off.
Yeah, I mean, Matt drove us, and so like, I mean, you could probably ask him too, like how like excited I was,
Yeah.
like to finally get back on the mats and everything.
Yeah.
So then when Balance Point opened up, I was just knocking off the rust, and like I knew in my head too, it was just like I'm like, okay, I haven't done this in a while. I know it's gonna take a little bit like to kind of get back to where I was. So
Yeah.
let me like strip down my game of like things that I would maybe think about or like stuff that I would maybe do in specific moments a couple
Yeah.
years ago.
Sure.
And I was like, let me just like dumb this way down. Let me go back to like the stuff that was working for me pretty consistently beforehand and like kind of my A game.
Yeah.
And like really dial in on that.
Yep.
Then add in the component that when I was doing a lot of jiu-jitsu beforehand, I was like 170 pounds.
Yeah.
And so now I was 205. So it's like a whole new like scenario of like,
Yeah.
figuring out this like kind of new body that I'm in because I wasn't as flexible anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just like the stuff that I was able to do
Endurance might be a little
before.
different.
Yeah,
'Cause you're
endurance for
carrying,
sure.
a weighted vest on you essentially.
I used to be able to roll 10 rounds straight, no problems. And so it was like being able to figure out like what's working now.
Yeah.
And like maybe trying some new stuff where like I
Yeah.
wasn't always the best passer.
Yeah.
But then like I started really focusing on passing and like
Mhm.
getting a lot better at that because my guard was always pretty okay.
Yeah.
So then when I was training in 2016, that was also like the start of the big like no-gi rise.
Yeah.
And so I was like really on that side of it at the time
Sure.
of like training a ton of no-gi,
Totally.
doing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So then, having Alex here and like more no-gi classes and everything, of like really diving into that more so, which is
Yeah.
why like all the open mats in the beginning was exclusively no-gi
Yeah.
essentially.
I want to get into that later too a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's an interesting like start and then what it ended up turning into.
Yeah, right.
So
And so it's just like, redeveloping that. And I would like still show up to the gi classes and everything too.
Yep.
But like the hard rolls were definitely
Yeah.
like Saturdays.
Yep.
Which when I was trying to get like the bulk of like my really
Yeah.
tough rolls in.
Yeah.
And then just like getting to know Marsh, getting to know Alex, like getting to know the other guys and everything.
Mhm.
And then obviously raising the skills of all the brand new people like Ben and Brian and stuff like that to get them up to like a certain capacity where like they would start giving us like
we got to slow their progression down, man. We
Dude,
got to like maybe not tell them stuff for a
Bro,
little
like
while.
I was literally thinking about this. Could you imagine if you joined a jiu-jitsu gym that just opened as a new white belt and the only people there are all higher ranked belts?
Yeah.
Your progression is going to go so much quicker than anybody else, right? So like,
You're
I
funneling
always
out.
constantly think about that because like I'll watch Ben roll,
Yeah.
Ryan roll,
Yep.
even some of the newer people like Austin, like their progression is so much quicker because they're in a room with people that have been doing jiu-jitsu so much longer.
Yep.
And there's no like, all right, guys, like learn how to shrimp now. Okay, guys, like they're learning stuff that's like, I didn't learn until I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, so like they're going to progress so much quicker and they're all dedicated to it too.
Yeah.
So that makes it like,
Yeah. And
they're tough fucking
all the bad advice that you would get from 25 other white belts is really funneled out because it's just a different ratio.
Right.
Yeah.
Which can be, I'm sure, somewhat deterring also because you're like, oh my God, I'm hearing all this good information and you're not ready to hear it entirely. But if you stick around, I think it's highly valuable, So Alex, you're at 10P for a long time.
10VFL, dude.
He actually has a tattoo.
Bravo fucking tattoo. Don't you do it of his face, dude?
Yeah, man. And so like, I met you at Threshold originally because I think you had popped in a little bit because you and Ed had connected.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if you guys had connected about Balance Point necessarily first, or if you just had popped in because you guys were chatting. Do you remember which it was?
I didn't know about Balance Point until like I think pretty much you guys were just like both on board to ask me to come on through. Ed and I were like talking because I had met Ed at an open mat, I don't know, like 10 years ago now. He just randomly popped in at 10
I didn't realize
Planet.
it was that far back.
Yeah, I've known Ed
Damn.
for a while. Like we weren't like the closest of friends, but like we would talk, like we would see each other at open mats all the time. Be very friendly. But
Yeah.
when I started popping through for at Threshold, Ed had asked me to first help Ian for get ready for
because of all the no-gi.
yeah, he was doing like Midwest finishers at the time,
yeah.
and he asked me to come in to help him out with some of the rounds and like the EBI overtime.
He's a bad dude, man.
Yeah, Ian's really, really good. I went to one of his wrestling classes at Threshold, and he's a phenomenal instructor as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So just got connected with Ed, and then like he had just asked me to come through. We were talking more, and then he had asked me to, if I wanted to help out with Balance Point, which I would be, I was super ecstatic to do.
Yeah.
And then kind of things just kind of took went from there.
Yeah, for sure. So were you already training at Seraphin at that point, or did Seraphin start?
A little bit at the same time.
That's what it seemed like.
Yeah, I was at 10th Planet for like 9 years, and that's when I got my black belt. Yeah. And then right after I got my black belt, Sarah, my fiance, wanted to start training, and Jeff has a
you're right.
Yeah, Jeff has a really big women's program.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hey, if we want to start training it, like if you want to get good, you're gonna have to train with other women too. Yep. So we started training at Jeff's, doing both at the same time, then kind of focused more on the gi as well, because I hadn't done any gi at all until I started training with Jeff.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much like
So like, it's going to be a hard thing to condense because it's so much time, but what was your experience like at, not only just 10th Planet, but what was your experience like starting jiu-jitsu all the way to getting to your black belt?
Oh, for sure.
At 10th Planet, and just like in general, because, like I'm sure you'd agree, but the way I always explain 10th Planet to other people is that it's jiu-jitsu, but it's a different type of jiu-jitsu.
Oh, it's completely different.
It's a different type of culture, style, approach. Yep. I mean, even just from like the encyclopedia of names and how everything's like, and I'm not even making fun of it.
No, you're fine.
But it's just a different, go ahead. Sorry.
No, for sure.
I kind of screwed that up.
No, the super deeper fuck.
No.
Funny whole snake.
To start with that though, like I do like 10th. I appreciate like 10th Planet because something that I really need is names to moves.
Yeah.
Especially like if I'm coaching someone, to like tell them, hey, you have to do this like pop arm bar from the guard. It's just like there's so much room for interpretation.
Yeah.
But when you say something like, hey, you got to hit crackhead control, you know exactly what move I'm talking about.
See what control you really want to say.
Is that an actual name though?
It actually is. Crackhead control is an actual
What about
name.
the other control though?
We won't say that now. We'd like to go back.
So wait, crackhead is a non-offensive?
No, it's one of the not one of
and then there's
very.
That's more
polished up.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of things.
I'm on board now.
But like to go even back, I found 10th Planet because I was at the time in my I was 20 years old, listening to a lot of Joe Rogan.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Rogan.
Listening to a lot of Joe Rogan, watching a lot of MMA. But like at that time, there was no jiu-jitsu in Lake County where I was at. There was, I think, 2 gyms that I knew of. So not a whole lot. But like I knew for a while that I wanted to start 10th Planet.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I was like, I need to just start at the 10th Planet gym. Yeah. So for the longest time, I'm just Googling 10th Planet near me. And I think I did that for like a year. And then one day 10th Planet Chicago opened up in Highland Park.
Yeah.
Which is where I started. Was there ever since. But the thing is, I will say at 10th Planet Chicago, just training there. There was a lot of hard rounds. It was a lot like Balance Point because it was a brand new gym. Everyone was super close, but everyone was very committed. So you're getting a lot of hard scraps, getting good, getting tough. We were competing a lot. So I did a lot of that, coming up through the ranks. And then just like, I don't know, having the culture within 10th Planet of like having those hard rounds, being, I don't know, understanding that like jiu-jitsu is hard and easy at the same time is something that I brought into Balance Point as well. You see that in the open mats when we roll Thursday and Saturdays, like Pat was saying, like those are some of the hardest rounds that I'm getting. And I think that's what helps elevates the room as well too. Something that, not that all gyms don't do that, but sometimes I feel like there's this like hesitation of getting hard rounds in, right? There's that one lane of thought where it's like you're getting hard rounds in with like someone who's super spazzy and you might get hurt. But then there's the other lane where it's like it's all controlled, but you're getting really tough, tough rounds in, but it's going to make you better.
Yeah.
Like there are times like when I'm rolling with Pat, rolling with Marsh, I know that these guys are trying to kill me and I'm trying to do the same, but at the same time, like I trust that like no one's going to get hurt at all.
Yeah. That's a hard balance to find.
Yeah, exactly. And
Comes with time, dude.
Yeah.
That's just Matt hours.
exactly. And
I've never rolled with one of you guys and felt like I was in a bad spot.
Yep.
And it was brutal and it was tough and it sucked. And I've just never ever felt like I was in danger. I don't think I've ever even walked out of a roll, to my knowledge, with something that was beat up. I mean, of course, I was sore and tired and exhausted, felt like shit, but like I didn't have like a bee sting on my neck, and you know what I mean. Or I had like my meniscus hurt, or like like my ankle was all torn up. You know what I mean. I just never felt that shit.
Yeah, there are times where like you roll at other gyms or where you go to an open mat and you're like, oh, that guy was like trying to maliciously hurt me. That's like you get scared, but it's different here where it's like, I know I'm going to scrap with these guys here at open mat or like during when we're rolling, but at no point am I worried that they're going to intentionally hurt me for no reason.
Yeah. So that was a big shift from like being at 10th Planet to here, or like when you were at 10th Planet, was a lot of that control already in place by the time you had gotten your black belt, or like was it?
There wasn't a whole lot of controls there. It was just tough rounds.
I got
a lot of really tough rounds. I got injured a bunch.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't the smartest training, but I like the good that came out of that is I kind of got comfortable with like understanding like where danger is.
Yeah.
And that's something I tell everybody here. When you train jiu-jitsu, obviously you want to be safe, but at the same time, when you progress further and you want to get like good and understand how these submissions work, you want to be comfortable with danger.
Yeah.
So like if someone's putting on a rear naked choke on you, obviously getting choked is scary enough and it's not a great feeling, but kind of wading through that initial panic where you want to panic tap.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get comfortable. It's like, oh, this guy's like strangling me and he's like putting it on, but you find little pockets of room where you can breathe and you kind of ride out that submission.
Yeah.
That's something like I like to do to the point where you play mind games with your opponent where they're like, oh, I was like really putting on that choke, but you were able to, kind of ride that out.
Yeah.
Which is something like I really think like we do really well at balance.
Yeah. I've noticed that with you too, where I've seen you either allow someone to put you in a bad position or someone does get you in a bad position, but there's a certain level of comfort that you have.
Yeah.
And I can tell that you've spent a lot of time in those places to know that you're okay, to give yourself time to think about what you want to do to get out of there.
Exactly.
Like letting someone put you in an arm triangle, and then I'm like, it doesn't look like he's that fucked up, but I know he's not super comfortable.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, like I can tell that you're working your way out and there's a plan there, and so I've seen that in person. Getting obviously like at this point, a lot of people who've trained forever, anyone at this table knows that like, the reason we train isn't to like seek a belt out, like it's just going to be a natural progression and it just happens. But like you have your black belt. So of course, when you get that, you're like ecstatic about it and probably very, proud of yourself for,
well, I felt like a fraud and like, I just like put a little bit of thing like
I feel like a fraud.
Well, like I had taken a lot of time off like from competing.
Yeah.
I had a lot of injuries. And then like I don't know, when you expect to get your black belt, you just have this like envision where it's like going to be this like moment where it's like the culmination of everything you've ever done in jiu-jitsu and this is like the big payoff, but you get it and you're like, oh, this is it. And it's just another day.
So we should just quit. Is what
pretty much, yeah. But I think that's what also helps too, is because understanding that when you get your black belt, it's just another day. You pretty much restart going back to white belt.
Yeah.
Right. That's how I saw it. And it's like, oh, I have to relearn everything all over again. Yeah. And now some of the moves that I thought I had mastered, I now have a different understanding on how to make it work even more.
Yeah, it's like almost depending on who you are, I guess, but it's possibly an ego killer because you're like, okay, well, I've arrived. Now I don't have to worry about any of this shit that I think I know.
Exactly.
You're also top dog now too, so it's like you have to
Top
roll. I
fucking
think it's like
dog,
as
bro.
soon as you get any fucking belt promotion, you're instantly everybody else's high water mark. That's kind of trying to train, and like not everybody gamifies it as like I got to be like achieving belt status all the time.
Yeah.
But like I remember when I was a fucking blue belt, dude. Like if I saw a purple belt, a brown belt, never so much a black belt. I never got at least a Rio like close to any of those dudes. But like if I could catch a fucking purple belt, dude, that was like fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, or even just get him in a bad spot or get a nice pass on him or something like that, or have like a 50-50 round. You're like, you're like, fuck yeah.
Get him right for their money a little bit, you know?
During your transition from when you started all the way to like, you know, when you transitioned to different schools, like you said, you got injured a lot, you know, and things like that.
Still gets injured.
Yeah.
Were there times where, you know, like, you know, where you're like, I don't know, like question yourself, or like you felt like, you know, when you're at blue, like you had not progressed at all, or purple or brown, or because like that's something that I've, I don't know, I think I've always kind of dealt with ever since I first started training, but I've noticed that it's been a lot more prevalent for me as far as like self-doubt or just being bummed or concerned that I'm not like who I think, who my belt says I am, you know?
Yeah.
I noticed that at the end of blue belt, and then when I got my purple belt, and now it's been like a mainstay in my mentality since I've gotten a purple belt. And I wanted to know how much of that you've dealt with, or even like currently deal with, and or just like low points, you know, that you had to work through and stuff.
Absolutely. I definitely went through a lot of that. There was a lot of nights where I'm driving home where I'm like, why? I don't think I'm going to go back tomorrow. It's like, I just, I'm sure if you guys like people, if you do enough jiu-jitsu, especially like training, like you're getting all those hard rounds in, there are so many nights where I finish rolling, get changed. I'm sitting in my car before I go home. Like that was scary. I just got my ass kicked. Why did I come here? And I don't think I'm going to come back. But getting over that hump where it's like, inside, you know, you love doing jiu-jitsu. Getting over that hurdle and just coming back is the hardest part, which is why I think like a lot of people quit, because it's easy to quit, and I would understand it too. It's like paying to get your ass kicked is a weird concept in itself.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
For like a lot of people, like they always say like, you know, jiu-jitsu is for everyone. That's something that I originally always believed, but doing this at you know, for so long. Yes, it can be for everyone, but at the same time, I don't know if people are ready to like deal with that like mental block of like, you got to go back the next day to get better.
The amount of commitment that you have to keep going, and
it's like, I would imagine it's a lot with like lifting weights, right? It's hard. You're not going to be good at it at the start, but you have to keep coming back to get good. And I feel like when you are able to kind of get over that mental block and just keep pushing yourself to get further. Next thing you know, you've been doing this for so long that gets easier. Yes, you still have that self-doubt, but I feel like that self-doubt is what keeps propelling you to get better every day.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even in lifting, you know, you can get, in your own eyes, very, very good at lifting. Then something crazy can happen, and then you go right back to zero. And you could be the worst person in the gym for a little while, and then you could get good again, and it's back and forth, and it can happen over and over and over.
I think the black belts who are like, because I do see a lot of people who get their black belts and they're like, I get it. I did jiu-jitsu. I mastered this thing. But then they fall into this like, this level of being like, you become like that McDojo black belt, right? You're not getting but you're not seeking out to get better improvements on your own self. You might not be getting in those rounds because you might be worried of getting tapped by someone, you know, like one of your students and whatnot. But I feel like I said, just having that like, that little bit of self-doubt is what helps, especially for me, keep pushing forward to get better.
Yeah. You guys have really helped me with that. And not like always thinking that there's certain people in the room that I can't get tapped by. And
I get tapped by everyone.
And then doing,
get tapped by everyone.
And then doing ridiculous things to avoid getting tapped. Like, you know, like not trying a vulnerable position that you should be in just because you don't want to get like passed, or you don't want to get smashed or tapped or whatever.
Exactly.
See, and I even mentioned that to you before. There's like rounds, I don't know, like a year ago, where I would just like see you roll with different people with various skills, whether you do good or whether you do bad. you basically fist bump them and get rolling on the next round. And it doesn't matter if you got tapped or if you sub that person, you have the same emotion on your face.
Yeah.
You know, and I mentioned to Ed, I said, I'm going to borrow Marsh's mentality with that because I know that I have a little bit of an issue with like, I'm really excited if I sub someone, you know, and then certain people, if I sub them, I don't care because I should be able to.
Yeah.
And there'd be other people where if they subbed me, I'd be all up and out of shape about it, even if they're a better belt than me or the same belt or someone who's just below me with a bunch of stripes. So I've really gotten rid of a lot of that. Not all of it, but a lot of it, you know, and it's been very helpful. And I feel like it really does allow you to explore a little bit more. And it's also given me a nice sort of like vantage point on what my instructors should be like and who my higher ups that I'm learning from should be like as far as their approach to rolling. And also like, you know, I've noticed with you and Ed that, you know, like you are not afraid to put yourselves in bad spots, get subbed, you know, like let's say one of your students does catch you, you know, like the student still knows that you're there to teach them, but you're not like worried about it, you know? And it just, I feel like it fosters the right learning environment for all of us.
I think so. I personally enjoy, like, I like when, you know, I get tapped by, like, I don't like calling them my students, but like the folks at BP, right?
My kids.
No, it's just like, I don't,
Children.
I don't like being like this professor. I see myself as, I'm just showing all my homies jujitsu, just trying to show my friends jujitsu. But like if we take, for example, like Ben, watching Ben from, you know, having not really trained much before. And now he's like, one of the toughest rounds that I have. Whenever he catches me, it's super gratifying knowing that like I helped put this kind of like, I played a part in Ben's, you know, advancement in his jiu-jitsu where he's catching me in like legit subs, you know, before it's like, not saying that I'm giving away subs, but like maybe I'm not rolling as hard, being super defensive, but now Ben is at the point where it's like he has his setups to catch me in like really clean subs. And, you know, that just shows that he's getting better. You know, the classes that I'm showing or that I'm teaching, I would imagine help, you know, played a part into that. So it's always a good thing.
God, he was so like dynamic and fast and wiry and unpredictable even when he first started. And now that he has like legit knowledge behind him, he's just such a problem.
Fucking shout out to Ben, dude.
Ben's been so good.
He's fucking like, it's really like probably from like Alex and Ed's perspective, it was like running the classes, being the coach and kind of like the fucking top dogs in the place, right? It's got to be super beneficial for them to see people's advancements, right? And like for me and Pat, and like maybe for some of the other people too, for me being like the second totem and Pat being like close there too, of like people that have just been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, like it's awesome to like sit back and see where people have come in their training in this academy specifically and what they're capable of doing. And it's like, dude, I bet you wish like, I think like maybe like you did another podcast, Lawrence, that I listened to, and somebody was talking about like, you know, like the feeling of like taking photos of like themselves lifting or like their current physical status and like being able to look at that as like, well, you're only going to look like this at one point in your life or whatever. And you can always look back and be like, look what I accomplished.
Yeah.
Part of me is sometimes like, I wish that like we could run the tape back on like, Ben, this was like your first day. And like, look at you now. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, cause you don't see that like progression maybe the same as like lifting. Like your body feels different when you're moving in jiu-jitsu. Like maybe you're noticing yourself in different positions and you can move around. Like, but like you don't see that like progression right away. Like if you saw like how stupid we all probably looked on day one compared to where we are, it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely markers of progression, but it's a less tangible thing to notice, you know, with jiu-jitsu or martial arts. You know, it's, I mean, you know that something's changed and other people around you do, but you don't see him like a black and white way. Where it's,
shout out to Ben. He's my white belt. I claim it.
Who's Ben?
Ben's my white belt. Cruz is Pat's.
Yeah. I got Brian. Yeah, sorry.
I think Rob would be my guy, even though he's you all know. But yeah, I think I took him under my wing, and now he gives me like serious problems, and it really sucks. I'm like, damn, maybe I should have just told him maybe like come once a week. Just in here like 5 days a week. I'm like, stay home, dude. You were at Rio for a long time, and then there was like a little bit of a downtime because Rio. There was a number of things, and I kind of wanted you to like overview that too, because it's just like really cool jiu-jitsu lore of Chicago, like what happened to the academy, like, and then the second one and all that stuff, and then just like Pete the Greek as a whole like jiu-jitsu personality. But yeah, like give me a little bit of like I don't know, like history on like you training there and transitioning into here, and then just like I don't know, I don't know, like for lack of better words, like who Rio made you as a person or like as a jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want you to give me the whole nugget, like in a most condensed
Yeah,
version
for sure.
possible.
So Rio was not the first gym I ever trained at. So
I didn't know that.
there was a dude, super similar to Rockwell with BB now, but on Western there was a gym called Conviction
Oh
Fitness.
yeah,
And it
yeah.
was like
I
a
remember that.
grimy powerlifting gym, CrossFit gym, and they had mats and they did like boxing and kickboxing, and it was a Carlson Gracie.
Carlson guy was there, right? I
So
thought.
Jason Bender actually was a purple belt, and he was teaching like the kids class there.
Yeah.
That's how I met Jason for the first time. He was also a personal trainer there. And I started doing jujitsu. My friend John, shout out John Peters, he actually popped in here one night and trained with us. He was like, "Hey man, I'm doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You know, like why don't you try it out?" And I went to the class of Conviction, and Andre Mediz, who's coach over at HQ.
And he teaches kickboxing over there too,
Yeah,
right?
he was
Same
teaching
guy.
the jujitsu
Okay.
classes. And that's where I started. And then Conviction closed down like unexpectedly. The owner was just like, locked the doors, everything was done.
Yep.
And I just started. I mean, maybe like for a couple months.
Yeah.
And then literally maybe I want to say I and I moved into our first apartment together, which was literally across the street from Big Rio, which was like the new Rio that they had built. So initially they were on Western in a super small room. I never went there. But I think it was like smaller than that space.
Yeah.
Nick the white belt, Nick the Greek, would probably be like, he was there from before the new transition to the new gym too, but he would always say like, super small, like
This is not the one that caught fire, right? This is like
no, that was the academy that I signed up at. Yeah. So I signed up at Rio. Man, I want to say maybe later than Pat was even there. Maybe Pat was there before I even signed up, really. I mean, maybe 2016, maybe 2017. I can't remember offhand.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my academy for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
And, white to purple belt. I was there for about, let's say like 7 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first gym that I trained at, Big Rio, everybody called it. There was like a place called Churro Waffle. Shout out to Churro Waffle. And it was a restaurant.
Yeah,
and,
it's right next to it.
It was a restaurant right next to the gym, and the restaurant caught fire one night, and caught fire, like fully burned down, and like all the smoke went into the gym, like, and the gym was basically like, Pete was like, dude, like, there's all this shit that has to be done. I can't have people training here. The gym's closed down. Like, it's too dangerous. Like, we had kids classes and then like a bunch of adults.
Yeah.
So the fire happened, and then we moved to Keller's martial arts club.
Oh yeah, there was like a temporary kind of thing. Yeah.
Which was like an old school karate gym, and like, Pete had worked something out with the owner at the time, and we used that mat space for all of our classes. And then we were there for a little bit, and then they opened up New Little Rio, which was another little small space. I'd say comparable mat space to like here.
Yeah.
And that's where it really was until COVID. And it's like, it's hilarious, like joining this gym. And like, I knew you, and we'll get to like how I joined this gym at a different time, but meeting Pat and being like, oh, we're both purple belts. Like, oh, we both stopped training because of COVID, and now we're both starting back here, like at the same time. Like when I came
that is a little weird
here,
to think about.
it was wild. Like I got my purple belt March of 2010.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Like the first week of March.
Damn.
That's wild.
He promoted me, and like it was a huge moment in my training. Like just like it felt like the first belt I deserved. I was competing a lot. I was training like a motherfucker, dude. Like 6 days a week, I was at that gym on those mats every fucking night.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, hell yeah, dude. Now I'm kicking it off. I feel good, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, world shut down, bro. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And like same thing with Pat, right? Like, they're like, I got laid off of work, right? And I was working remote, like the money wasn't coming in. There was no training, whatever. So like by the time the gym opened back up and it's like, wear a mask, whatever, we're wearing masks in the gym. I was just like, dude, I can't do this. It's too dicey. I can't risk it. You know what I mean? And didn't train, man, for, I'd say from 2020 up until here and there, dude. Like, I'd pop in every once in a while and try to get as many rolls as I could.
Yeah.
But at that time, I think like COVID just really took its toll on the gym, and like the membership dropped off, and there just wasn't the level of commitment that there once was
Yep.
to Rio,
Those are
which
two
is,
very hard things on an academy.
yeah, man. I mean, like everybody
brutal.
felt it, dude. Like that was like for everybody, right? So like at that point, like, nobody was training anymore. A lot of people moved away, just kind of changed a lot of people's life trajectories.
Yeah.
So Rio unfortunately closed, and, everybody kind of scattered and went their own way. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm going to take some time off of training and just focus on some other stuff. And then I remember being on Instagram, and I don't know if it was like I followed you, Lawrence, or I followed the Rockwell Instagram, and it was like Balance Point Jiu-Jitsu program coming January. And I was like, fuck yes. I was like, oh my God. Like in my head, I was like, I already knew you because like me and Maya did personal training here before our wedding, did the shit. Right? So I trained with Matt, and I trained with another trainer here at the time. And I was like, this gym is going to fucking check all my boxes, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like whatever way they decide to run it doesn't matter. Like those dudes know what they're doing. They have a great fucking gym. It's going to be awesome. So that was really like this shining light at the end of the tunnel. Where I was like, yes, I can get back into the gym. Cause it's like one of those things too, like you've been training for a long time, you get your purple belt, going into another gym, there's kind of like a little stink on you a little bit. You know what I mean? And people are understanding about it.
Totally.
But it's like a little bit, you feel a little self-conscious, and you're like, now I got to work a little bit harder. And, I'm not a purple belt under this instructor. So they're going to be like, you know what I mean?
There's like holdups that come along with that.
Yeah, it's a weird vibe. So
you like get in your own head about it too, of just like, like you get your purple belt from somewhere else, and like maybe you were at like a certain skill level at one point, and then skills drop off a little bit because of like taking so much time off, and now you have this like other black belt that's looking on you, and they're like, oh, this is a so-and-so purple belt, like who is this guy?
Years off from the sport, dude. You know what I mean? Like literal years I was not training. So yeah, man, I fucking loved Rio. It was a great gym. Dan from Rockwell, our mutual friend. Because I was lifting weights here at Rockwell and doing jiu-jitsu at the same time, I think I'd just gotten my blue belt. Dan was like, well, I want to try. And Dan came and trained at Rio for a long time. I think up until he moved away. But it was a great room, dude. The similarities between Rio and this gym, I see a lot of, because Rio was extremely hard rules, extremely like people who are really, really good at jiu-jitsu. But there was an aspect where like, granted, like all students are different, and whoever walks into the gym to sign up, you know what I mean? Like not everybody's going to be the same. You kind of weird out, or you weed out the weirdos, if that makes sense. So like there would always be somebody that's going to crank the fuck out of your arm, or like throw something on like super nasty. But you got super hard rolls with everybody in a super safe, controlled environment where you never felt like you weren't going to be able to train the next day. And I think like in that gym specifically,
that's a hard thing to find sometimes.
Dude, Pete instilled that in us like from day one. We're like, if
you can't train,
he would literally be like, dude, like I think I told Pat this before. He's like, jiu-jitsu is an individual sport, but you're nothing without your team. You're nothing without who's in this room. Like go do jiu-jitsu by yourself in your room with nobody and see how you get hit, right? So like if you're breaking people off and hurting your partners, that's one less person you can't train with that person the next week, right? So now you're getting worse. There's one less person to move around with, a different body that might have a different skill set, right? So he really instilled that in us, like take care of your training partners. Like, if you have a rear naked choke and it's not working, don't crank the fuck out of their neck, dude. Move on to the next thing. Just keep moving.
Ed's always said that, he's like, I need everyone in the room. It doesn't matter if they're a beginner, if they're a novice, or if they're where I'm at, to get better. I can't get better if like it's the same three people and me, no one's challenging me as a black belt. He said that, I think about 3 years ago, right when this thing started. And then what's funny is I talked to him the other night, and he was like, I just feel like I'm like in a rut right now, and I'm trying to get my jiu-jitsu to be better. And that's just like the little hump the phase that I'm in right now, and it kind of made me like think back to when he said, I need everyone to get better, and I think he's getting better because everyone else in the room is getting better, and there's different people to train with. It's not the same group, that we were comfortable with out in the burbs. Like I'm less comfortable here by far than I was out there, because I knew the same people that I trained with for a long time, and I kind of knew their game, and I knew their like pros and cons. And here it's a lot more unpredictable, I feel like, also because of the gym. That's another like weird element that we have at this place, is that there's all these people that lift weights and that are generally bigger human beings, you know, and are a little bit more motivated because like, you know, they do want to be better. They're in the gym lifting weights and they want to be healthy. And you're dealing with like, I feel like a different animal a lot of times, you know?
Dude, it's crazy. Like training at Rio, super similar to like what Al was saying, where he was like a smaller person at the time. And like when I was training at Rio, I competed at 165 pounds, dude. I was a fucking string beat, but I was one of the biggest people there, tallest. So like Rio had a lot of people that just weren't real big guys. They were strong, jiu-jitsu strong.
Of course,
They were fast and punishing, and their rounds, like, I mean, like roll with Nick the Greek, dude. Like if you roll with Nick or if you've seen him move around, that's like what everybody at Rio was doing constantly. Pressure, fast, like passing. You just couldn't keep up with people. So like the jiu-jitsu that I started doing, like as a big guy, was more like small guy jujitsu, right? Like it was moving fast and trying to pass and like punish and just transition quickly. And then coming here after some time off, I was like, damn, dude, I got to get fucking stronger and bigger because like if I try to play that game here, it might work out. I might be able to tire some people up and take advantage of it. But like everybody here's so big and strong, like I have to fucking like bulk up. So it's a different, like it's a different.
You had to level up in a different way. And you did. And it's been noticeable too. I mean, like just dealing with you from when you first started training here to like after being a part of the gym for X, you know, years or whatever. It's a totally different thing, you know?
Yeah. You got to shake off the cobwebs, dude. Like get the dust off you, you know, like same with Pat, dude. Like when I came in here, I was like, damn, dude, like I got a purple belt. There's new people. I haven't trained in a while. I know some tricks. I got some tricks up my sleeve where I can get by, but I got to like start training hard again and like get back into that.
Yeah, definitely. And Alex, you've been training with Pat for quite a while now. And I wanted to talk about that briefly just because, you know, I'm sure that, you know, it's helped your life in a lot of ways by being in the gym, but then there's like the jiu-jitsu side of it. So how's training with Pat impacted your jiu-jitsu? And then you also originally started working with him when you had a shoulder injury as well. And I know that, you know, I've even talked to Pat and worked with Pat on a couple of things for my own shoulder. And that's very much like his department, you know? And so how has that impacted like your life and jiu-jitsu? And then I also wanted to like kind of go back to Pat and ask him how it's impacted his approach to training and how he had to modify certain things for himself to sort of deal with, you know, what you're requesting of him as a trainer.
So I have a very bad shoulder. I've dislocated it maybe like a dozen times.
Last week.
But like full dislocations where it comes out of the socket maybe like 12 times, and like where it partially comes out maybe another dozen times. So it's like I've had a long history of shoulder injuries to the point where it really hindered the way I trained jiu-jitsu. Prior to the shoulder injury and like after, two completely styles of rolling. And for the longest time, like throughout like most of my 20s, even when my shoulder will like pop out like on a Wednesday, I'm back to the gym Monday, no rehab, no PT, no nothing, just wait for the pain to kind of subside and then go back to hard training on Monday. Obviously that isn't sustainable to the point where like when I'm hit, like I think like when I hit my 30s, like 30 years old, I'm like, I can't even like move my arm anymore.
It's not a fucked up thing because that was my experience before my recent escapade. That was like the month before shit hit the fan.
Exactly.
It is a weird thing to like wait to 48 hours or whatever and be like, okay, my whole like arm shoulder socket is bruised and I cannot move my arm. 40 hours later I can, and now I'm gonna go right back at it again, thinking that you're totally fine.
But it's really not.
Explaining it out loud
I've done that, dude. I've got my ankle popped, like my knee tweaked, my arm fucking popped. You know what I mean? And you're like, yeah, this sucks for a couple of days, but I'm gonna go back to jiu-jitsu.
And you get to a point eventually where you're like, I have to address this.
It's like death of 1,000 paper cuts, right? Like you push it for so long, and then it's essentially like now you're like me now, where I'm like, fuck, dude, my body. Every day I get, I'm like,
So did it get to a point where you originally just talked to Pat about it, or were you like?
I think Pat hit me up, was like, hey, you want to lift? Because I might have mentioned it like in passing. Because before I started training at Balance Point, I hated lifting weights. Like I pretty much do not like it now still. It's not my favorite thing in the world.
Why is
I don't know.
Dude, he's just a hater, dude. He needs to get on board.
I see everybody else lifting at Rockwell, and I'm like, I hope I get to the point where I'm so happy to be here.
You've been telling me this for like a year, dude.
Dude, I've been lifting with Pat for like 2 years now. I'm still not there yet, but one day we'll get there. But I will say, like, training with Pat it's helped me a lot with my shoulder, because like before I met him, or like I think like the first like couple of sessions, it hurt to just bench the bar. And then like we were doing the bamboo bar and like that even hurt too. To the point where like it's just putting it up, like putting no weights just hurts. And now we're at the point where it's like prior to the other weekend where I hurt my shoulder.
What were you doing?
He's
hitting so hard. When the breakdown hit, dude.
When you see Big Boy, it's hard to stop and not want to pit.
Big Boy's pretty sick.
He fucking lost this.
So, doing a lot of hard pitting in your 30s is not the best idea in the world. But prior to that, I was at the point where like I think I was benching a plate, which I never thought I would be able to do.
Yeah.
So just like being able to just working with Pat helped me not only rehab my shoulder, but made me realize like, you know, I'm not invincible, where you have to actually put in all that hard work to be able to do the hard training here. Yeah. Especially as you get older. In your 20s, you know, dislocate your shoulder or your knee and you're back to training a couple of days later. Yeah. Now it's like, I need to make sure I'm getting in the right warm-ups, the right, like, you know, the training in outside of jiu-jitsu so that I can do all the hard roads here.
Supplemental stuff.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And you seem physically much more stout from when I originally met you.
He's bodied up. Give it a flex for the camera,
dude. Flex, yeah.
What are you talking about, dude?
No. But yeah, I mean, like, training with these guys here, like, everyone here is so big. You train with Brian and Trent. Yeah. Even though they're, like, at the time, like, when I first met them, they were white belts. They were, like, it was a scary round, you know? Now, like...
It still is.
I did not know that coming in. I mean, they're, of course, bigger people, so I wasn't like, oh, this is going to be chill. No. But in my head, I was like, oh, they're new. So at least there's that.
I think that was none of that shit. Probably worse then, because it's, like, Brian and, like Brian and Trent, like, just taking them for examples, like they didn't have the technique, but they just like knew what they had to do. So like Brian, Brian especially, like he didn't know how to pass guard, but he understood like I got to throw these legs around, like I have to get around your legs. So he's just like yeeting my legs to the side and no technique, and he's past my guard. Yeah, right. So like having to understand like you know, there are different like having to deal with like super strong people. Yeah, guys like Brian and Trent, it's like I have to make sure I'm also on my my P's and Q's.
And speaking of rolling too, after working with Pat and then getting active in the gym in there, have you noticed like any level of confidence in your jiu-jitsu or like any strength differences in rolling with other people like on the actual mat, or has it just been?
No, that definitely noticeable, especially like I think we got lucky is probably the word, because everyone in here is like 90% of the folks I train at Balance Point all weigh like 200 plus pounds and all lift weights over there. Yeah. That is outside of the norm when you go to most jiu-jitsu gyms. Sure. At the other gyms that I've trained at, like the average weight is like 170 pounds. Yeah. They lift weights, but it's like someone who lifts weights and is like 170 pounds is different than Ryan who lifts weights.
Of course.
Right? That strength difference is different. So like I'm more comfortable rolling with big folks outside of like any other gym, knowing that like they're not gonna put it on me like Pat, they're not gonna put it on me like Brian Marsh, you know. So it's you feel more comfortable.
So yeah, it's like like in a non-ironic way, it's like you're sort of like one of the bigger guys now. Yep. Which is kind of cool if you go to other academies, you know, because of the work you're putting in there, and then also rolling with just bigger people. Like you're a little bit more I don't know, like weathered in a different way, you know?
Yeah, we have an academy full of big people, while at other gyms, it's like, oh, he's the only big guy at his gym. Yeah. So it's like, they don't have that other big guy from the other gym doesn't have like the same experience that we have here.
Yeah, Pat and I had a running joke for a while where we're like, can't we just get like a fucking 180 pound like regular guy in this fucking gym, dude? Like everybody that walks in is like, I'm like, God damn, dude, they're like fucking G.I. Joe. I'm like, Jesus Christ, yeah, I'm 25, I'm a blue belt, I fucking deadlift 500 pounds. I'm like, all right, cool, dude, I'll roll with you, I guess.
We need to have like a line marker on the wall of height and then also like narrowness, you know, that
it's just like gnarly streak of guys like that were coming through. Like we had Derek come through, and it's just like, oh god, like really, like this guy. And then we had bowling ball. Yeah, and then it's like And then I remember you telling me, you're like, oh, we had a new guy sign up. He's like, you know, purple belt had to take some time off, but he's like a smaller guy. And it was Sean, who's a D1 wrestler. And I'm like, oh,
that's your small guy.
Yeah,
man.
I'm like, you're kidding me right now?
But like, dude, like Sean is physically fit.
He's so
like,
strong.
Like,
yep.
He's fucking strong in like a grappling sense.
Yeah.
He's joining the gym today to start lifting weights.
Yeah. He was telling me last night.
Fully bought it,
Yep.
dude. He drank the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
It's just like, yeah, I'm like, I can't catch a break. Like, if like just somebody normal coming in, hey, maybe like, you know, 2-3 stripe white belt that like I can start like hitting some good reps on and stuff like that. It's like, no, I got this dude. He's 6'4".
Yeah.
He's been training for, you know, 5 years. Like, just had to happen and happened to have like a little bit of layoff. By the way, he squats fucking 500 pounds. I'm like,
You got a new white belt, dude. Trent walks in. You're like, what the fuck?
But you
He's
also
7
have
feet
like
tall.
the other white belts. It's like you have Kevin, who's training over at Rockwell. You think like, oh, he's starting jiu-jitsu for the first time. You might get one over on him, but you grip up with him. You're like, why is this guy so
Dude,
fucking?
it's like
He's
you're
made out
rolling
of
with the
cinder
fucking
blocks.
front.
Yeah.
I gripped up with him once when we were doing like, some stand-up drills. I'm like, I'm not doing this. So I have been actively ducking Kevin ever since. Like, I don't want.
That dude is like a cement block.
You really
Man,
Dude.
that boy is strong.
Made of fucking concrete, dude.
I'm like, dude, you're only allowed to come in on Saturdays until 2027,
Yeah.
so that I can update my shit, and then we can get back to business or
I
whatever.
feel I do enjoy that. Like, it's like Tom will come through. Like when Tom would come through
Yep.
more regularly, it's
Yep.
like these guys are. It's good for everybody else because they get to feel like what real strength is.
Yeah,
Right?
that's true.
It's man gripping up with guys like gripping up like someone like Tom or Kevin. It's like holy shit.
Yeah.
It's moving around like you said, like a cinder block.
Yeah, they're not purely just a smaller frame jujitsu guy who's going to tie up with you like in a jujitsu manner. You know, they know jujitsu,
Mhm.
but they're also going to like be like, hey man, I'm a bigger person. I'm strong. I'm aggressive. I'm motivated. I'm
Exactly.
confident. That's another.
It's a different fucking. dude.
Pat, what have you noticed about your training and working with Alex, and sort of like his issues? You know, like a shoulder that's dislocating constantly or many times in the past, and then getting him strong in the gym, and also keeping him safe so he can go to jiu-jitsu. Like, what kind of things have you ran into that you've had to adjust or alter, or is it just like you already knew the approach and you just executed your approach? But I'm sure it's been somewhat of a learning lesson, or just like somewhat of like a resume builder to work with him and to like make him successful in that way. It's different than any other athlete.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I love working with jiu-jitsu guys. I think training like for jiu-jitsu is like one of the easier things. Like, cause any of like the skill or whatever, like I'm not a skill coach when it comes to like, you know, like jiu-jitsu, that aspect. Right. So it's like any of the skills or whatever, they can build that in the room, like with, you know, their instructor and like the other training partners and everything. So that's not my job. My job is to basically like put armor on this person, which is going to be like muscle and working in end ranges and getting them like very, very strong in terms of absolute strength. And then at the same time, bringing a lot of like, you know, GPP, general physical preparedness, and just like raising all capacities so that like it translates so much more over into the jiu-jitsu side, right?
Yeah.
So it's like not just, you know, doing like hyper specific, like, you know, you're going to be in this position. So like, we got to be able to do
You can
like,
only row a cable from this staggered stance.
exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah, like, you know, lay on the floor, kick your leg over, you know, imagine you're in, you know, XYZ position,
Yeah.
and then like start working through there. It's like, no, like you just need to pick up some weights.
Yep.
And it's like, pick up this weight and go move it over there. We're going to do that a bunch of times.
Yep.
So for Alex, you know, I didn't like initially think his shoulder was as bad as it, you know, kind of ended up being, sort of thing. So like you said, you know, we would try to do like some pressing movements or whatever. And, you know, through like trial and error of like finding things that like would kind of work, he'd be like, this one, it's not feeling good. So I'm like, all right, cool. You know what? Scrap it. Like, let's just move on.
Yep.
So then, I scaled it back even more so where like, you know, keeping heavy squats, keeping heavy deadlifts, raising, absolute strength in that capacity. And then I'm like, so before we even think about pressing again, let's beef up, your upper back. Let's beef up your like, you know, kind of shoulders. Let's beef up your triceps.
Yep.
Let's beef up, like absolutely beef up everything surrounding the shoulder.
Yep.
To get Alex to understand, hey, like when we're pressing, we need to be able to like feel these muscles, right? We have to be able to pull those shoulders back. We have to be able to find those lats and set those down.
Yeah.
Right. So then once we're able to do all of that, then we could add in the pressing and have no problems.
Yeah. So you had to kind of go backwards to move forward.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, yeah, for months, we just completely stayed away from all pressing minus like, you know, triceps and more like isolation until we did add back in, you know, just like some football bar, right? Like a little bit angular here, easier on the shoulders and everything like that. And I'm like, this is your main bar, right? Alex doesn't need to straight bar bench press. There's no reason, right? He's not looking to power lift. Same with putting a bar on his back. He's not a power lifter. He doesn't want to be a power lifter. Safety bar, it beefs up your hips, it beefs up your quads, it beefs up your back, it beefs up your core. Like, let's just focus on that. That's your main bar. Football bar is going to be your main pressing, deadlifts and deadlifts.
100%. Yeah. And your coach that you work with, you know, and then obviously sort of like our obsession with that type of coaching and conjugate and that sort of like subsection of powerlifting really fits well with training a person like Alex, and then like, you know, Marsh, a lot of the programs that you've done in here really fit sort of that bill as well. And you kind of sought that out, you know, and what's cool is you've come to me, you've come to Pat, other people in the gym and asked like a suggestion for a setup or just like talk to us about the program that you're on.
And I'm always so grateful of that because like I try to be mindful that like this is your guys' profession. Like, dude, when I was fucking fixing refrigeration equipment for my entire career, everybody's like, hey man, can you come fucking work on my refrigerator? And I'd always be like, oh fuck, dude. You work on my HVAC, you know, I get that all the time. I'm like, all right, I'll come take a look at it, you know. You do it like out of kindness to your friends or whatever.
Yeah.
Super fucking like always try to be respectful. I'm like, fuck, should I guys bad this question? It's a job. I feel fucking bad, you know? But yeah, you guys have been awesome.
I think we're just excited about it. Like, you know, and like, you know,
we're all nerds at the end of the day.
Yeah, we just want everyone to figure it out. And then the more we talk about it and have to think about it, the better we're figuring it out. And as much as we think we know, like when someone brings a program to us and says, hey, what's this mean? We have to actually like think about it and be like, what is this person trying to explain to their athlete that bought this, and what is the outcome supposed to be? So, and that could be even just like a simple band setup or like a bar you're supposed to use. I don't know.
I was doing all that stuff. I was doing the conjugate tactical, which like shout out to conjugate tactical. It was a lot of fun. I really liked it. I did, as a jiu-jitsu player, have to move away from that program. Because the programming, while it is, I think, really good to build strength and conditioning, if you're doing that on top of your 3 to 4 day a week jiu-jitsu, where like, I mean, every time I come to jiu-jitsu, there's not really an off day. Like I do whatever the class criteria is, and then whoever's rolling, like I'm rolling, and I'm probably gonna roll home. It's hard for me in that.
That makes sense.
So like it just got to be like a diminishing returns where I was like, I'm feeling a little bit more beat up in the gym where I don't feel like I can do the exercises the way I'm supposed to.
Sure.
So I've had to like modify that shit, like all based on.
Well, that is kind of the idea of conjugate in its own. I mean, even that guy, Gus, like I just took his course out at Westside. I don't know what that was, like 5 weeks ago. It was like a 2-day course. It was conjugate tactical.
Yeah.
It was like an amazing course. But I mean, even he would say that if you've been doing a program and you feel like it's not working, then you need to evolve it and adapt to it and adjust it. I mean, you know,
there's always an opportunity to go back to it and whatever you want, you know, just how you feel in the time. So, I've tried a couple different things, but like, I think like Pat told me this. He's like, dude, just do whatever's the fucking simplest. Like simplify it. Like you don't have to be like looking up these crazy movements that are like, I'm going to do all these crazy things. It's like, you have 3 lifts, dude. You have squat, you have deadlift, and you have bench press. Like focus on those, like start easy and then like build some shit around it. Like just as long as you're lifting weights, that's all that matters. Like I don't think you're going to ever find the like, going back to like what Pat was saying about Alex's programming, they're never going to find like the perfect jiu-jitsu program, right? It's like,
it doesn't exist.
What is the perfect jiu-jitsu?
Anyone who says that is full shit.
Yeah, right? It's just marketing, you know? Like, just go lift some weights, do some push-ups, do some fucking pull-ups, run around. Get on
and everybody's going to be different too. Like, I'm not going to train Alex the same way that like I'm going to train like Nikki, you know what I mean? So it's just like, you know, making sure that like the program fits the person and not the other way around. Like that's not how strength training works.
Yeah. And it could even be boiled down to personality too. Like, you know, what they can deal with, what their interest level is, how much
like,
time they have.
Look at Brian, for example, right? Like his training looks like a lot different than other people that I train because like he's got the dog in him, right?
Yeah,
So
he's hungry.
yeah, he's like, he wants to get better, is like actively wants to push himself, right? I tell him to do like 10 reps of this, and like, you know, he feels like it's a little bit too easy, and he's going to on his own, you know, own volition, crank out an extra like 2-3 on that. Right. So for him, like, I can dial up intensity way higher and drop volume back, because like, I know this dude is going to push it, and like, I don't have to worry about him. I don't have to be like, hey, Brian, like, let's go, buddy. Like, I don't have to put that fire on him. Whereas like other people, you know, if, you know, we're only doing one set of squats and it's all out as heavy as we're going that day, you know, not everybody is going to be able to do that.
Yeah, 100%. And your coach that you work with, I feel like is a really good fit for the kind of training that he's providing, that you're requesting from him. And I feel like the carryover into people like Marsh, or like your client Andrew, who's the younger guy that plays football. He's like a high school guy. It's really sort of easy to set up the training for anyone. Tweak it, because you have so many options. And just like you were saying, like, yeah, you want to simplify it, but you also have so many choices, and we're not pigeonholed into one particular type of training just because someone said so. Like, this is the best. This is the only way to do it. And it's like, yeah, there are better ways to do it, but you have a lot of options. That's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, and like, I like to I really like to think that I can train anybody, no matter like what they want to do, because of kind of like the style of like training that like I like to do and everything like that. To where like I can really modify it down to, you know, that like that individual and what their needs are at that time.
And your coach does sort of like originate from like the West Side Conjugate sort of philosophy, right? He has his own own sort of like subset of thinking, I guess, or planning, whatever, however you want to label it.
100%.
Right. But it does originate from that like old school West Side Conjugate thought process, right?
Joe Lasco, out in Columbus, Ohio. He was under West Side Barbell for like 10 years or something like that. He worked with every single kind of athlete under the sun. Was you know, he's talked about like in the like West Side Barbell books and everything like that. He was a very, very important piece over there. So when you know, Lou passed away and he kind of moved over and started his own gym and everything like that, the style of training that he does, and even like working with me and everything, like that's kind of changed and you know, modified over the years.
Especially now, right? Because you have two different demands. Like,
totally. And so you know,
or three actually.
Right, I know. So like for him and myself, like it's you know, talking and culminating everything that like we've done in the past now in these past couple of years, and we've trained together to like develop this program that works amazing for me.
It seems dialed from the outside looking in.
No,
watching
like
that workout, like when I'm here and he's like doing his workout, like is inspired me in so many ways. Where like you're so no nonsense. Your headphones are in and you're fucking pouring sweat and you're doing your program. I'm just like, damn.
Yeah, he's only in PTSD mode for like an hour.
He's just thinking of
whatever's happened to him in the past. That's what he's thinking about. At least that's what I tell myself.
I think about the enemy and only the enemy for the entire duration that
I was like, go to
there.
I don't have any pops. One time he's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Good.
And that's
why.
Cool. And that's why Pat. That's why Pat's so stringent about the music choices in the gym. if it's not something that will allow Pat or other people to think about the enemy, the music is not fitting for the gym.
You gotta always be thinking about the enemy, dude. That's why we play Superman at fucking open mat, dude. That's how we kick it off every night, dude.
Yeah. And speaking of the open mat too, that was one thing that I had sort of made a mental note earlier. We were talking about originally the open mat was no-gi primarily, right? And then when you got into judo, it eventually sort of turned into mostly gi. I think some people can do no-gi if they want or whatever, but it's right now it's gi. And it's also been interesting too, because you mentioned that there was like the no-gi wave, which like we're still in it, you know what I mean? But it's maybe not as hardcore as it was like a couple of years ago, because things always, you know, shift around.
It's like right when I was coming up too, like it was the whole no-gi thing.
And I mean, like even for myself, like I was enjoying no-gi training at the time, like that's kind of what I wanted to be doing and stuff like that. And then you know, judo really allowed me to like put the kimono back on and really get into like that kind of like style of training again,
Yeah.
like something that I hadn't like dove as deep into more recent years
Yeah.
than I had in the past.
Yeah.
Where like, 99% of my training until like, I don't know, 2-3 stripe blue belt, like
Yeah.
I was exclusively gi.
Yeah.
So
Same.
you know, judo like getting me to put the gi back on and everything like that. I just kind of fell in love with the gi again and like have been really enjoying that, and like I like the carryover that I'm getting, selfishly
Yep.
into that aspect. And then at the same time too, it's just like a stupid realization moment almost of just like, hey, if everybody's coming in and just doing no gi, then like you don't have an option to do gi rounds, like if that's what somebody wanted to
Yeah.
do.
Yep.
Right. Whereas, if everybody just brings their gi and like, you and your partner wanna strip it off and do a no gi round, that's completely fine too.
Yeah,
But like
totally.
both options are there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think there's a good part about, putting that on people to a degree and sort of making them have at least a little bit of that experience, because in my opinion, I think it should be a part of it,
Yeah.
and of course, if you're a certain level of jiu-jitsu and you're competing at a certain level, there'd be no reason for you to like actively seek out training the gi like 50% of your week.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you're the average person, and I also think there's also like somewhat of the tradition aspect of it that I think that like, at least for myself, I like sort of paying homage to, like, I don't know, all the old school people that train jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
all the sort of history that comes along with the gi. And then I, of course, recognize like what no-gi provides for you and the challenges that are there with no-gi.
Yeah.
It exposes a lot of your game by taking that shit off.
Yeah, for sure. My gi game, my no gi game look totally different. Like I have to play
100%.
2 different games, to a certain capacity.
Yeah. And so like Alex, when you're doing 10th Planet, obviously like, you guys are training a gi, right? And then you like went to Seraph and threw the gi on and like, yeah, you're like basically wearing like a living room rug, out of nowhere. And then here, like originally it was a lot of no gi. And then like, when you competed, you started throwing the gi on more, and so it's been kind of cool to see like, sort of like go back and forth with that.
Yep.
And so like, what has been like your experience, like having the gi on and then taking it off? Is it really any different for you at all?
Yeah, it's
or
a
like,
lot
or
different.
do you not really care or notice? Like,
No, there's a lot more like what I would call like more fundamental moves that like I didn't know that I thought I knew how to do. But like when you put the gi on, you have to be more technical, right? When you do no gi, it's more of like the way I see it is like no gi is more of like it's more like athletic, right? You're kind of like doing, it looks more like wrestling.
Super dynamic.
Yeah, it's very dynamic.
Yep.
You can kind of get away with just using pure athleticism, right?
Yep.
Well, gi is all technique. That's why it's like you see someone like, back in the day, it's like, that's why like someone like Hoist Gracie was able to do so well. He was a small guy, but he had the technique and he was able to, beat guys like Chemo, right? Just giant sauce up, crazy folks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like putting on the gi, it's like my journey throughout the whole thing has been very like, okay, now that I'm doing the gi, I pretty much had to relearn how to do jiu-jitsu. I did a little bit of gi back when I was a blue belt with this guy Scott Gave and like Simon Park. They are now one of Jeff's affiliates. Back then, I think they were under John-Jacques Machado. So that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Did a couple of gi classes with them, but then like I went full sail with Jeff. It was just completely different. And then like rolling with guys like Pat now, who is like a gi, he's like mastered the gi, doing judo now.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have to be perfect. Like you can't just like explode out of things.
Yeah.
Because they've got the grips and he's gonna hunker down. It's like you're not.
Yeah, the luck aspect is plummets.
You've got to be perfect.
And speaking of judo, like, what made you want to get into that? And like, you did a judo tournament recently. I went to kind of caught like the tail end of the last match or whatever, but what made you want to get into that? Obviously, my guess would be is that like, it's going to help your jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But like, what gave you the idea to go do that? Is it purely because you're really interested in judo and want to get better at it? Or is it like a combination of that and then like you want to have it to affect your jiu-jitsu game? For me, if I were to get into it, it'd probably be for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it was initially. Like, I mean, it came down to, I had a big glaring hole in my game, which is like my stand up.
Hmm.
Because like we didn't really spend too much time doing that back in New York.
Yeah.
Any of like the stand up that we would do would be like very self-defense focused. Hey, you know, you're in a bar fight, you can do XYZ here to get the guy to the ground, or disengage to get away, right?
That was kind of like our deal too.
Exactly.
I think that's super just common across the
Yeah. So it's just like the, you know, this huge hole in my game of like the stand-up department that I was not confident in. And then, you know, super interested like in judo, just like a sport aspect and everything. I always thought it was really cool, and just like a beautiful martial art. And so, you know, that was like my initial plan was like to get into that to help my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's like kind of flipped. I fell in love with it. It's like, you know, truly putting on like a white belt again and just like fully, diving in and being like, I am a white belt in this martial art.
Yeah.
Like let me absorb all the information of like whatever my instructors or like my, you know, my other teammates and stuff are telling me, and like, you know, not trying to like bring an ego to it of being like, well, in jiu-jitsu we do X, Y, Z, because it's like I'm not there to do
everyone
jiu-jitsu.
hates that guy.
I know it's super cringe. So it's just like I'm not there to do jiu-jitsu. I'm there to do judo.
The amount of people I ran into over the years, like, well, when I did Krav Maga, or like, or when you're actually in a street fight, and it's like, dude, all this is so situational based,
like,
and it's so like, nuanced, and
like, just shut the fuck up and like, just shut the fuck up and like just do what we're doing in here. Like, right? If you want to do your stupid Krav Maga, like go do your stupid Krav Maga classes. Like we're in. I think Krav Maga is stupid.
I'm kind of like, I think there's probably benefits, like, you know, maybe smaller or medium benefits.
You gotta go take a class and learn how to bite someone.
Tonight is gonna be eye gouging.
Yeah, right.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with what that is, but
like I think I got it.
Good, dude.
Dude, we're gonna have a dojo storm from a bunch of Krav Maga people in the next like couple of weeks.
What are they gonna do? Disengage with me?
He's trying to bite me, dude.
Holy shit.
So yeah, I mean, just like you know, loving that right now. Judo is so cool. It's so hard. And I can't say enough cool things about it. And like, and it has helped my jiu-jitsu for sure. And like the confidence in my stand-up has like, you know, greatly gone up and everything like that.
I refuse to fucking stand up.
Well, I've only
like.
Yeah, before I got injured in March, I think I only stood with you like one time. It was like briefly on a Saturday, and like you know, like one of your it wasn't like a situational role, but it was like just a brief situational stand up.
Oh yeah,
like
a drill type of thing.
Yeah, drill, you know, and I did not like that. It was like 3 minutes, dude, and I was like, fuck that.
Yeah,
that was
one stand up confidence where I'm just like, oh man, dude, like your body's just different. I'm like, no, I'm gonna pull guard.
Yeah, it's like you notice there's like a level of confidence and awareness of where he should be at in relation to where you're at. And then like, I don't know if you would call it like inside position, but he just like always has his hand and his body at an angle and a place that does not feel safe for you at all. Is that what you guys have noticed? I mean,
yeah, dude, he's dropped me so many times. I'm like, I can't.
When Pat had thrown me one time, like one Sunday after we were done lifting, we used to roll, but like one day he was like, let me show you this throw. I put on a jacket. I don't think I've ever been thrown from feet to back before. I literally saw my feet go up in the air and I'm looking down at the ground before I landed pretty hard. I'm like, I don't ever want to do that again.
He's like, all right, well, now that I've fixed your shoulder.
Was that one, right?
That's how it felt like.
It's a really good business plan, man. You got like ongoing business.
I know it's no genius. Don't tell him, man. Don't tell him my plan. Oh my God. Just keep injuring him.
That's why I was pressing on his shoulder so much.
Yeah, that was bad.
You were here for that.
I was, yeah, kind of.
You were like doing PT on his shoulder,
and I forgot his shoulder was fucked up.
Oh.
And I was just messing around, like joking around. So I just like was like, "What's up?" And I was like pressing down. I was like, "No, it's just bad."
Yeah,
he was fine, you know. But Pat also was like, "Dude, injure him, dude. Fuck him up."
Yeah, fuck him up. Who cares?
Gotta get that bag for Pat, man. No, this has been awesome. I honestly, I wish we could probably go another hour, but I think Shara would fucking stab me. So
Yeah. Sorry, Shara.
we should probably wrap it
Wrap it
there.
up.
So.
Thank you, Shara.
Yeah, thank you.